Two major roads in New Hartford have reopened after a deadly crash between a tractor trailer and a car. Thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 10. I'm Priscilla Meza. The intersection of Route 44 and Route 219 near the Canton Town line was closed for hours this afternoon as crews responded to the scene. Fox 61's Kayla Cade was there and has the latest details from the town's fire chief.
New Hartford Fire Chief Mark Warsman says one tractor trailer and one car was involved in this incident. He tells us that the person that was driving the car is unfortunately dead. It happened on Main Street near the Dollar General just before 1:45 p.m. And as you can see, cones were blocking off the street. Chief Warsman says officers still need to speak to the family of the victim before they release more information.
Unfortunately, sympathies for the family, we do our job to the best ability we can. And unfortunately, in situations like this, we have to address. So,
State police are investigating this crash. In New Hartford, Kayla Cade, Fox 61.
Meriden police arrested a man who they say repeatedly sexually assaulted a 15-year-old girl. Investigators have been looking into Alejandro Chamorro since March of last year. He is now behind bars on a $100,000 bond. Hartford police are investigating a shooting that sent one man to the hospital early this morning. Police say the man, who is in his 40s, was shot on Weston Street just after 3 a.m. He was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. At this time, police have not released any additional details, including information about a possible suspect or what led up to the shooting. A man wanted for murder in Ohio was arrested by Meriden police Tuesday after being involved in a separate shooting. That shooting happened at Mill Street Green, where officers found a man with a non-life-threatening gunshot wound. Police later arrested Khalid Hunt after a foot chase. Investigators say Hunt is also a suspect in a deadly road rage shooting in Ohio last November. He is now being held on a $4 million bond and is expected to be extradited back to Ohio.
And good Friday evening, everyone. Well, we're looking forward to a beautiful weekend. Finally going to warm up. 70s tomorrow, even near 80 in parts of northern Connecticut. And how about low, maybe even middle 80s on Sunday. Meanwhile, yeah, it's cool out there. We've been having kind of a cool, gloomy last couple of days. And you can see temperatures basically in the upper 40s to lower and the middle 50s across the area. And you can see just a few clouds left over, a little band of higher clouds coming on down that northwest flow. Otherwise, we're going to be clearing out overnight. We did have a couple of showers today, little instability showers. So overnight, basically partly cloudy to clear, and lows by tomorrow morning will average into the 40s. Now, the sun comes up tomorrow morning, and I tell you, these temperatures are going to warm up in a big way here. We're going to start out in the low 50s and get all the way up in the mid to upper 70s, much warmer. Yeah, sun going down at 8:05. Look at the temperature profile across all of Connecticut. Mid and upper 70s inland, lower 70s along the shore, maybe not even getting out of the 60s with that sea breeze picking up in the afternoon. Coming up, I will detail just how warm it will get next week, a little taste of summer. And how high will the humidity go? Details coming up in a few minutes. Priscilla?
Thank you, Sam. The U.S. Justice Department is suing Connecticut over a law it says unconstitutionally restricts federal law enforcement officers. The lawsuit names Governor Ned Lamont, Attorney General William Tong, and other state officials challenging parts of Senate Bill 397, also known as the Act Concerning Democracy and Government Accountability. The department says the law illegally regulates federal officers by banning face coverings, requiring badges and name tags to be clearly displayed, and forcing federal agents to follow Connecticut's use of force policies. Federal officials argue those rules put officers at risk of harassment, doxing, and even violence, and say the state cannot interfere with federal operations. The Justice Department says this is part of a broader effort to challenge similar policies in states including New York, New Jersey, and California. A substitute teacher at a Chester elementary school is accused of hitting a 12-year-old student. Rutana Tereri is charged with the risk of injury to a child and assault. State police say it happened a few weeks ago during the school's live morning broadcast. Witnesses told investigators Tereri hit the student in the head, while Tereri told police she only tapped the student. Tereri is now on administrative leave. The Connecticut State Colleges and University System has released a complaint against former interim chancellor John Maduco, who abruptly resigned last month. A female colleague has accused Maduco of sexually harassing her over a 2-year period. She says he sent messages about her body and sexuality along with sexually suggestive photos and memes. The complaint also alleges he called her a nun with a halo and said he, quote, had a tool to crack it. She says Maduco invited her on a trip to Atlanta with no work purpose, sent a shirtless photo of himself, and asked if she was on the menu, and even showed up uninvited to a sporting event where she was playing. Maduco had taken over for former Chancellor Terrence Sheng, who was removed after being accused of misusing purchase cards. Hartford School District is facing an even bigger deficit than originally expected. Now city leaders are looking at what role state funding could play in helping close the gap. Fox 61's Alicia Hercules has more on what Mayor Arunan Arulampalam is saying about the challenge ahead.
Hartford Mayor Arunan Arulampalam says the city has received more than $20 million in state funding specifically for education. However, he says the Hartford Public Schools deficit may be much larger than what the city originally thought.
We're still trying to figure out the size of the Board of Ed's deficit.
Hartford Mayor Arunan Arulampalam says a state audit revealed the deficit is much higher than what was reported in March.
We thought it was $75 million. Given the state audit, it may be over $80 million now.
Along with the $20.5 million in education funding, the city also received $13.1 million from the state for general city use.
So our plan is to take the vast majority of that to pay for our schools.
He says he also hopes to see the Board of Education allow more state oversight by using the Municipal Accountability Review Board.
For this school district that is facing insolvency, they can put themselves under that financial oversight, and that is empowered then to fill the remaining gap.
Parents like Michael, who wanted to remain off camera, believe the Hartford school system needs a major overhaul.
I don't understand where a lot of the money or funding is going when the city gets a certain amount of money, and then in a blink of an eye, they're saying that they're out of funding.
He says if the funding is invested properly, it could benefit both the school district and the city.
The kids' future is a great investment because those who are from the inner city and from Hartford, once they get educated and once they get to where they need to go to, they will invest back into the city of Hartford.
The mayor says the Board of Education will have until June 30th to vote to place themselves under that review board. In Hartford, Alicia Hercules, Fox 61.
Yale School of Medicine has responded to the Justice Department's investigation, which accused the university of choosing applicants based on race. In a statement, Yale said, quote, "We will carefully review the Department of Justice's letter. Yale School of Medicine is confident in the rigorous admission process we follow," end quote. The DOJ claims Yale violated federal law by admitting Black and Hispanic applicants with consistently lower academic qualifications than their white and Asian counterparts. The department says it wants to work out a voluntary agreement with the university to make sure its admissions practices comply with the law. Youth sports are growing more popular every year with more children signing up to play, but families and government leaders say those games are now being threatened by private equity firms taking over youth sports leagues. Fox 61's Jalen Anderson has more on how lawmakers are hoping to push back.
Lawmakers, coaches, and parents I heard from say they worry profits are starting to take priority, driving up costs and changing the culture of youth sports.
And sometimes that's one of the biggest problems, availability and price.
Across the state and country, fees are piling up, from travel expenses, training, and equipment, all associated with youth sports. Many say this inflation in prices is due to private firms buying leagues and teams to turn profit, making it less affordable for everyday families. Lawmakers are now calling for more oversight to protect local communities and make sure the young athletes are not priced out of opportunities. Brian Gallagher runs several youth programs and teams across Hartford and says the scenery has changed over the years.
We have lost that middle level. Everybody now plays on the high level teams, the premier teams, because they have 15 different teams for every single age group so that anybody who can pay plays. It's not even about who is good anymore. It's something that we really have to figure out how to get around and change. Otherwise, we're going to lose all these kids. And if they're not playing sports, what are they doing?
For longtime coaches, the concern goes beyond money. For so long, youth sports has been seen as community, but many believe the private equity firms only see investment.
So it's just a matter of where your heart, where your spirit is, what you want to do, how you want to expose athletes, not only those that are potential pros, but also those that just want to be a good player. And if we can get more youngsters that went to college, went to the pros or the G League or WNBA to come back, I think that'll play a big part.
Senator Chris Murphy is introducing new legislation to combat private equity takeover of youth sports, but it still has a ways to go. Don Wilson from Bridgeport says he wants all kids to have access to youth sports and is continuing to work for the families who can't afford the expensive leagues. He says a big thing is educating parents before signing up kids to play.
It's sad because some parents are trapped, right? And they don't know that the kids are supposed to just have fun and develop. I say, let your network be a network. So if you're a network of kids that are having fun and just being good people, you could make some good citizens. And that's what we continue to strive to do, is to create some good people, good citizens.
Supporters say they hope the focus remains on development, teamwork, and accessibility rather than who pays the most for their kids to play. In Hartford, Jalen Anderson, Fox 61.